am Sister Deanna Randolph, and I believe I will testify. I thank God for truly for everything that He's done in my life, and one that I always bring up in my low times and my high times, a testimony that I always bring up and will never forget for the rest of my life, was when I um, had my knee surgery. I was born with something called alta patella, which is basically where your kneecap is set not inside of the joint where it's supposed to, but it's higher. But of course, never knew it. Just always was wondering, well, why my one knee hurts all the time. And I would always compensate with the other knee, not knowing that that's what I was doing. And it wasn't until that knee gave out and, that one dislocated, and I went to the doctors and they did x-ray, and I kept telling them, I'm like, but that's not the one that normally hurts. All my life, it's always been this other one. And they're like, well, we see what's going on, and well, we'll go ahead and just take an x-ray of the other one. And so they took the x-ray of the one that usually was always hurting me. And they said, oh, that's when they found out, what was going on. And they said, we're going to do emergency. We're going to have to do emergency surgery. And so the earliest we can get you in is 6 months from now. So emergency, right? So, so I held on, and that's a whole nother testimony of how God was taking me through that process and working something out at my job and everything, through that waiting process. He did it for a reason. But I had gotten to the point where it was right before the surgery, maybe about a couple weeks before, a month before, where my knee completely gave out, and I could not walk. For long distances, I was in a wheelchair. For shorter distances, I was on a cane. Could barely do crutches anymore. Couldn't walk but a few steps. And I remember the enemy telling me, "This is your lot. This is where you're going to stay. This is the end. This is the end for you. So I hope you did all the things that you were supposed to do for the Lord, because you're not going to walk again." And I really started to believe that thing. And it was another pastor. He was testifying, and was testifying about having surgery recently, coming out of surgery recently. And he said, it wasn't the physical healing that I needed. He said that part, it's still coming. I'm still waiting for the pain to go away. He says, the hardest part for me was laying on my back for 2 weeks straight and not being able to do anything, not being able to move, not being able to do the little things that I'm normally able to just get up and do. He says, and it was then, when depression sat on him, it was then when the enemy started talking to him the most. He says something to being debilitated for any period of time. He says, that's what will get you. He says, but God brought me out of that. And I don't know why that was the part of the testimony that stuck out to me. But as I went through my surgery, came out successfully, they said, everything's good to go. You're fine. You'll heal, but you got to stay in bed for 2 weeks. And first couple of days, it was great. I was like, "Whoo, I'm finally getting the rest that I need. I can catch up, binge watch some shows, some movies. This is great." And then the next couple of days started to hit. And, I'm little things, getting up, going to the bathroom, going to shower, going to wash the dishes, going to grab something from, just, hey, I'm hungry. Let me go grab something from the refrigerator real quick. It was those little things that I was not able to do, and had to literally depend on someone else to do everything for me. Couldn't even take my medication by myself, because I got to take it with food. I got to take it with drink, and I can't get up. And so unless something's in my room, within reaching distance, it was truly debilitating. And those next couple of days kept going on, and then the voices started getting louder and louder and louder, and I started being reminded and remembering the things that the enemy had been saying to me, is that you'll never walk again. You're going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. You think you can lead praise and worship standing up? You can't. Now you're gonna have to do it from your seat. You think they're gonna let you do that? And it really started to get to me. And so by the end of those 2 weeks, still just barely moving, my spirit was crushed. My spirit was crushed. And it was literally in one day, all in one day, everybody came to see me. My family came over, helped me clean up. Someone was just like, let's just change your bed sheets. Like, let's just do small things. Put on a load of laundry, wash the dishes, sweep the floor. Then the saints came by and they brought food. Then my coworkers came by, and we just sat around and laughed. I finally was able to get out of the room, and we just sat around and laughed and started walking again, started walking on crutches. It was little bit by little bit, but God was showing me that He had built people around me. Thank you, Jesus, that He had put people around me to kind of help lift my spirits. God said, I'm not done yet. Thank you, Jesus. But that encouraged me that whole day. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep striving. I'm going to keep striving. Because even if I'm subjected to a walker or a cane or something, it's not a wheelchair. I'm not permanently debilitated. I still have friends. I still have family. I still have a church family, loving church family. And that's what I held on to. I held on to that day. And it was, I think by the time I returned to church, thank you, Jesus, that God talked to me and God told me, He says, I never told you that you were going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. I never told you that you were never going to walk again. I never said that this was your lot. I didn't say that. And if I didn't say it, that means it doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. And I thank God for that because then I started to believe not just in God, but believe in myself to be able to, you know what? I don't have to end here. If He said that I can walk again, I can walk again. Let's fast forward to the end of my healing period, and the doctor said, oh well, you didn't heal properly and you're gonna have to come back in a couple years for a full knee replacement. This is only going to last about a couple years, maybe 5. Well, let me tell you, 7 years later, fast forward 7 years later, not only am I up walking, running, shouting all day long, I re-injured the same knee. And they showed me on the x-ray, you broke your kneecap in a car accident. They said, you broke your kneecap. And I said, this is the exact same kneecap. I said, well, Satan, I remember what you told me last time. And I remember that it was a lie then. And so if it was a lie then, it's a lie now. Thank you, Jesus. Well, let me now fast forward one more year. It has been 8 years since my surgery. And if you ever see us up leading praise and worship, you ever see me worshiping God, you'll know I could have stepped in a minute. You'll know I'll be in heels if I need to. I'll take them off if I need to. I give God glory and honor and praise for healing my body. When the enemy told me one thing, God said that wasn't your lot. And so I just want to encourage you today, whether it be a healing that you're needing from God, whether it be a spiritual healing, an emotional healing, I want to encourage you that what God says about you, that's what counts. What God says, that's what matters. His word, He says His word will not return to Him void, but it will accomplish what He wills it to do. Thank you.